15. Facts about Soviet Union. How many countries were in the Soviet Union? There were 15 republics. The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics later dissolved into 15 independent countries in 1991. 3 of them, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, declared their independence even before the demise of USSR. 2. How long did the Soviet Union exist? It existed from 1922 until 1991. It was the first country to declare itself socialist and build towards a communist society. 3. What was the purpose of the Iron Curtain? The political, military, and ideological barrier erected by the Soviet Union after World War II to seal off itself and its dependent Eastern and Central European allies from open contact with the West and other non-communist areas. 4. Could the Soviet citizens travel abroad? No, only an ironclad reason could allow a Soviet citizen to travel to a foreign country. There were several stages a person had to go through to receive an exit visa, including an interview with a KGB officer. On the contrary, it was much easier to get an entrance visa from the destination country than an exit visa from the Soviet authorities, though as a foreign tourist you were under 24/7 surveillance since you were considered to be a potential spy. 5. What could you buy in Soviet stores? Buying food, clothing, and hygiene products was a recurring obstacle to the average consumer. By the mid-1970s the Soviet economy was beginning to suffer from contraction and low growth. Few people could afford a car and those who did faced a waiting period of several years. Appliances and devices like televisions, refrigerators, and washing machines were difficult to buy. The consumer goods produced in the USSR were notorious for their poor quality, lack of variety and durability. 6. Was KGB really so powerful? Less powerful than FBI from the standpoint of technical means, but extremely powerful from the point of attaining information through the network of informants. Poison pen letters were a common thing and there were cases when one family member would lay information against other family member. Personal letters or packages coming from other countries were opened by KGB on regular basis to be checked for capitalist propaganda or foreign currency. In 1961, 2 traffickers were put to death for selling jeans that were illegal in the USSR. 7. How many people were killed by the Stalin's regime? The numbers killed by Stalin's regime were 20 million or higher. 8. Was free medicine good quality? The early Soviet healthcare system was well prepared to deal with fractured bones and cholera, it was poorly equipped to deal with complicated conditions and mental illnesses. Starting around the early to mid-1970s the quality of the provided care started to decline. Despite high numbers of doctors, the infrastructure base was not modernized and drugs were difficult to come by. 9. Was free education good quality? Education in the Soviet Union was organized in a highly centralized government-run system. Its advantages were total access for all citizens and post-education employment. However, memorizing instead of critical thinking skills, propaganda and ideology instead of access to the newest foreign educational sources created the basis for educational system. If you studied English at school, after 5 or 6 years you were able to read and translate with a dictionary at best. 10. Did serial killers exist in the USSR? A communist society, according to the ruling Soviet regime, did not produce crime. Any serious social ills were anachronisms from pre-revolution which would eventually die out. Serious crime therefore remained merely a symptom of error which was redeemed through hard labor. In the early 90s HBO movie Citizen X, a communist official confidently tells a detective that there are no serial killers in the Soviet Union and that it was purely a decadent Western phenomenon. 11. Was private property allowed in the USSR? The personal property of citizens of the USSR may include articles of everyday use, personal consumption and convenience, the implements and other objects of a small holding, a house, and earned savings. The personal property of citizens and the right to inherit it were protected by the state. However, it was next to impossible to purchase an apartment or a house since the salaries were very low and you again faced a waiting period up to a couple of decades. 12. What is Siberia famous for? Worldwide, Siberia is well known primarily for its long, harsh winters, with a January average of -13 Fahrenheit, as well as its extensive history of use by Russian and Soviet governments as a place for prisons, labor camps, and internal exile. 13. What is Gulag? Gulag was a system of labor camps maintained in the Soviet Union from 1930 to 1955 in which many people died. According to a 1993 study of archival Soviet data, a total of 1,053,829 people died. 14. Were books banned in the USSR? Soviet citizens could not read many books, some of which are now regarded as classics. Some authors like Plato or Socrates were censored for containing harmful material that questioned the Soviet message. 15. Was foreign music banned in the USSR? Yes, for instance, Black Sabbath, Alice Cooper, AC/DC, Sex Pistols, Nazareth, Kiss, Van Halen and many others. The main reason for ban was stated as anti-Soviet propaganda.